Okay, we're out. Okay, good. So, welcome to the workshop, the bite-sized workshop, and the theme for today is visualization and manifestation, or manifesting. And I find this particular subject. I know, Gareth, you and I had a brief conversation about this. It's one of those things that's got a very sort of unfortunate PR or track record or anything like that. It links into or suggests things like The Secret, Law of Attraction, Think and Grow Rich, and all these sort of books that are out there and materials that are out there. But I don't actually subscribe to the sort of full caffeine version of The Secret and Law of Attraction, all this sort of thing. So what I've done, I've put together some ideas and principles around the subject, but things that I've found have worked for me and for people that I've worked with that hopefully makes sense sort of in the real world, as opposed to the some of the more tree hugging, crystal gazing type approach. Because I'm pretty sure that when you look at the challenge with the law of attraction, for example, is if you don't follow through, simply visualizing and hoping and building this big image of a Ferrari on the drive or something, the Ferrari never shows up. So I'm going to go through some principles that hopefully bring it to life and explain how it works, or how some of the principles work that you can use as well, that make more sense and rather just hope. So what I've put together is a four-step process, or four-step system or method, if you like. And these are things that I found work for me and for other people. So step one is have a dream. What is the dream? What is your dream? And too many people either don't have a dream, or they did and they quash it, or they suppress it. Now, the thing with a dream is that it only talks to us in visual. It's not a language-based thing. It's not in words. It's a visual thing. It's an image. It's a picture. It's colors, it's shapes, it's structure. But we have this dream that is really triggered by our subconscious, not the conscious mind. Dreams are subconscious. So, and we can do this dance between the subconscious and the conscious. But dreams are based in the subconscious mind. And if you think back to when you were kids or younger or whatever it was, what was your dream? What was the dream you had for your life, for your business, for your career, for your job, whatever it was? And the question is, of course, I've asked people what their dream was when they were kids. Mine, I wanted to be a drummer. My dream was to be a drummer, and I wanted to travel the world. And I have some sort of favorite drummers, and I wanted to be a drummer and travel the world. Now, when I said this to my dad, and as dads do, he said to me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a drummer. And what did my dad say? Oh, you don't want to do that. There's no money in drumming. Why don't you go to school, get qualified, get some qualifications, get a trade, settle down, and then you can go and play your silly drums when you've got some qualifications behind you, which was all good, sensible guidance, but it quashed the dream. We're not taught or encouraged how to dream. We're encouraged how to learn and work and build something tangible. We're not taught or encouraged to have a dream. So number one is, what is your dream? What is the dream for you, for yourself, for your business, for lifestyle? Where do you want to live? Who do you want to live with? What does life look like? And you probably find that you know what it is. It's actually there, tucked at the back of your mind as an image or a picture or something like that, but you've probably got the dream anyway. So job number one is enable the dream to shine bright. Have the dream, allow it to shine forwards, and be sure what it looks like. And don't worry about all the other things that go on. Be clear about the dream. So what we're doing here when it comes to the dream is we are setting a part of the mind that is hidden. So the two parts of the mind, of the brain, if you like. The first part is the conscious mind, and the second part is the subconscious mind. Now, the challenge is, of course, the conscious mind, it only affects us about 5%. 95% of our lives, the decisions we take, the relationships we have, and how we live our lives are dictated by the subconscious. Our beliefs, our fears, our mindset, our attitudes, what we take as being risky, what things we are okay with, things we're not okay with. It's all done in the subconscious. We think it's done in the conscious mind, but it's not. And too many people, in my experience, they build elegant plans and structures and systems. They bring logic to their dreams and visions and goals. And of course, it doesn't work because logic and doing plans and details are all in the conscious mind. That's not where dreams sit. That's not where the most powerful part of our mind sits. We exist in the subconscious, not in the conscious. So in order to start bringing the dreams to life or make them happen and encourage them to manifest themselves, we've got to start bringing what is in the subconscious and allow it to show up in the conscious world, in the logic world as well. So that's part of the process, is taking this subconscious dream and bringing it to life in the conscious world. So how do we do that? How do we bring them to life? Well, remember, the subconscious mind doesn't talk in words. It can't. It has no language. It communicates in feelings, intuition, colors, shapes, and images. That's how it works. So you can't talk to your subconscious mind. You can only talk to your conscious mind. Most of us have a voice. In fact, I was told, I'll just check this out with you guys, most of us have a voice inside our head. It's like an internal dialogue. So when we're thinking about things or contemplating things or planning things, we tend to think in words. Well, I was told that some people don't. I do. Anyway, perhaps it's just me. But we have this internal dialogue going on, and that's us consciously making decisions. We're thinking, we're rationalizing, and we're consciously making decisions to help ourselves move forwards. That doesn't work in terms of making the magic happen with dreams and visualization. So what we need to do is tap into the subconscious mind, and we do that through having a vision. So step number 2 is a vision. And it can be specifically a picture. Imagine you've got these VR goggles on and you see an image or a picture. And if you see people wearing these things, playing a game, for example, they believe they are in the situation that is displayed to them on the screen. And that's how the subconscious mind works. We can show it images and pictures and structures and ideas, but it has to be through not words. It has to be through feelings, beliefs, mindset. It has to be through colors and shapes. So we've got to have a vision for what the future looks like. And I tell the story, Lynn and I, we were on holiday in Biarritz back in 1992, it would have been, the year Richard was born. So he was just a babe in arms at the time. And we were on holiday in Biarritz and on a campsite in September because we couldn't afford to go in August. So it was a cheap holiday in September. And we're on this campsite. And walking around the campsite was a guy selling paintings, local crafts and paintings, this sort of thing. And he brought up to us, to our tent, a painted picture of a house. And it was a typical French house on the side of a hill. And specifically on top of this hill was a huge radio mast, a big radio mast on top of this hill. And we looked at this picture and we bought it. It was, back then it wasn't in English money or euros. It was back in the days of French francs and that sort of thing. Bought this picture, and over a glass of wine, literally that evening, Lynn and I sat there and said, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be great to actually live here, live in France, and here's the house we're going to have? And that picture stayed with us for, well, it's still on the wall now somewhere, it's around here somewhere. But what happened was, when we then finally got to France and we wanted to choose a house, when we saw this house, literally the gates were opened for us by the agent at the bottom of the drive. She showed us the house, and it's not a perfect representation, but it's on the side of the hill, same color, same roof. On the top of the hill, there's a big radio mast. And we looked at the house, or Lynn looked at the house, even without going into the house, and just said, yep, that's it. That's the place we saw. That's the one. We signed for it before we got inside the house. And what it was, we'd had the vision, we'd had the image. And what it does then, when you have that image with clarity, we're setting what I call the RAS, what is called the RAS, Reticular Activating System. It's a part of the brain, the subconscious brain, that guides us to wherever we want to go. Now, if we tell our subconscious through images, through pictures, through our visions, it will take that as being what we want, and it will tend to guide us towards it like a GPS system. I'll come to that in a second or two. So we set our reticular activating system by having clarity of image. And we can do two things. One, we can take the goal or the dream we've got in our mind, and create an image. That's how the subconscious communicates with us. But we can also communicate with the subconscious by putting images into our mind as well. That's how it works. Now, when the subconscious gets hold of this image, the goal, the vision we want for ourselves, that's when the magic happens. Now, it doesn't just mean that you tell your subconscious what you want and magically it appears. That's the law of attraction. Doesn't work. I almost guarantee it doesn't work. And that's why people get so disillusioned with law of attraction and the secret, because they forget the next couple of stages that we're going to go through. But how you can set your reticular activating system is by imagery. Gareth and I were speaking during the week, actually, and one of the things we were talking about was things like incantations and affirmations, words you say to yourselves about, I am this, I am that. And there's a lot of work around that. And for me, they never worked. And because I felt an idiot saying that I am, I'm a global rock star, drum player, all this sort of thing, it didn't work for me. But the reason it doesn't work is because the subconscious doesn't recognize language. It can't. It's not programmed that way. What it recognizes is emotion, color, shape, and pictures. That's what it works in. So when you have a dream, it's vivid color most of the time. It's a color thing, not a language thing. So we can program our RAS, easy for me to say, in terms of what images we have. And it's a cyclic thing. You can literally put the picture, the image on the fridge door. It can be a picture you have in your purse or your wallet on the screen somewhere. It can be a mind map. It can be something you put on the wall. It's just going to be something visual that represents what your future looks like. So visualization. Can you do meditation using visualization? Absolutely. Can you sit and contemplate and think and create the image brighter and bigger and add things to it and make it so it's very, very clear? Absolutely, you can. That's visualization. But visualization shows up in the subconscious mind as a process, as an image and a dream, and it takes you towards it, not magically, but I'll show you how that works as you go along. So that was step 2. So when we come to the next step, it's action. This is the thing that most people miss out on. They don't take any action. They have a goal, a dream, a vision. They know what they want to do, but they sit there and they wait for things to happen. And what we've got to do is take this image, this goal, this vision, and bring it to life. We've got to do something with it. We've got to build a screenplay, if you like. We've got to start putting some plans around it. But this is where the magic starts to happen. So, for example, we had a vision and a goal and a dream to come and live and work in France donkey's years ago. And as we were going along, we had no idea how we're going to get there. Not a clue. We knew it was a pipe dream, literally. And as our businesses grew and developed and things moved on, eventually we had a big opportunity come through for us, but not to come to France. It was to go to the USA. And it was literally a phone call out of the blue. Do you want to come to the USA? Come and live and work out of Las Vegas. I'll be your only client. And I'll pay for everything. Come and work in the USA. And I remember thinking and saying to Lynn, this is very odd. This isn't the plan. This is not what we visualized. This doesn't fit the plan at all. It doesn't fit into what we're going to do. And what do we do with it? Do we say yes and move away, 5,000 miles away from France? Didn't seem to be moving us towards our goal. And it was too good to miss. So we said yes. We went over to USA, had a great time. After a couple of years of being over there, the organization we were working with needed somebody to actually come over to Luxembourg and run a business out of Luxembourg for them. And that company over there was full of two types of people, Americans and Australians, which is all good. But of course, I was the only European, and I didn't need a work visa. I didn't need a visa to come and work in Europe. So I said, well, if you need a person to go and run that project over in Europe, I'll go and do it. It's easy for me to go and do it. Living in Vegas is great, but 2 years is really enough. We'll go and do it. So we did. So we came back over to Luxembourg, and the deal was, I said, I'll work in Luxembourg, but I want to live in France. That was absolutely fine. That was all okay. So we ended up in France as a consequence of going to the USA. And this is called the law of, or principle of precession. Results and opportunities don't come in a straight line. They come in left field. This is the action you've got to take. You've got to take massive action going forwards, but be prepared for your results to come in from left field. And then you've got to trust that you're going to be able to take these opportunities, even if they don't feel right. Somehow they don't feel right. You've got to trust that is going to move you towards your goal. So take massive action, get on with things, long-term vision, short-term goals, have a plan, but get out of the waiting room. This is one of my favorite business books, and I'll just put it up on the screen for you here. This is where it comes from. It's the the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. It's fabulous. And this is the central page is about the waiting room. I see so many people that have a goal, a vision, and a dream, and you say, great, when are you going to do it? And they come out with lots of excuses. They say, I'm too old, I'm too young, I've got to wait for the mortgage to be paid, I've got a pension to contribute to, I've got the kids to look after. Well, all this stuff that goes on, and they sit perpetually in the waiting room. They never actually get out of it. They don't make a lot of progress. They're waiting for something to happen. And of course, it never does. It doesn't happen that way because we're waiting for something to turn up, where what we've got to do is go make something turn up. But when it comes down to the opportunities that we're going to get, it's be careful or be aware it won't be what you think. And if you look back in terms of, for all of us in your life or career or job or whatever it is, when you look back of how did you arrive to where you are now, looking back, it makes absolute sense. The dots all join up. It's logical. It made sense. You can see what happened. But when you were looking forwards 20 years ago, I guarantee you couldn't see it. You weren't absolutely clear how you're going to get there. And people who plan and structure too much don't make progress because they expect it to happen in a logical, conscious mind way, and it doesn't. It happens in an illogical, emotional, subconscious mind way. And because they don't see the clarity, they don't see the plan, they don't see the next step happening immediately, and it's safe and secure and predictable, they do nothing. They sit and they wait. And then, of course, they eventually time catches up with all of us. And then they go, well, it's too late now. I'm too old. I can't do it. I should have done it years ago, whatever it was, which is a real shame. And this happens a lot. And it shouldn't happen that way. So it's taking the action, it's trusting yourself to start making new connections, make progress, look for opportunities, and see where it goes. But it might not be linear and straight line. In fact, I guarantee it won't be. And this is why people back off a little bit. They want certainty. They want to have the guarantee of success. It just doesn't happen that way. And if I look at my career, and I was interviewed this morning on a podcast by a lady, a new colleague of mine, Vafa Taliban, and she's come over from, her family was involved, affected by the Iran-Iraq war. And she was saying that when she was a kid, they were at school and they were watching for Scud missiles coming across the sky, and the school was bombed. And it was like, wow, this is different, a different level of risk and this sort of thing. And she was saying that people have a high level of risk aversion over here in Europe, whereas in reality, we're pretty safe anyway. It's going to be okay. What's the worst that can happen? But then take the risk, take the activity, don't sit back and wait, start doing it now, start doing something towards the goal and the vision. So number 4, this is the key one again, another more powerful one if you like. The 4th step, you've taken all the action, is to allow it to happen. And what I mean by that is, imagine if you go on a journey with your GPS in your car, you know the destination, you know where you're going to go, you got the time scale, you've set your route pretty much, and you're driving along, and then the GPS chirps up, take the next left, take the next right. And especially for guys, I do this a lot, sends Lynn insane. We're driving along, the GPS will say, take the next left into 200 meters, whatever it is. And I go, no, I think it's better straight on. I think we'll go straight on because I think that's a better route. And is it ever a better route? No, it's not. They're never in a better route because the GPS knows. What we have to do is trust our instinct. We've got to trust that when an opportunity comes along, that we recognize it as an opportunity, but it may take us off track, or where our conscious mind takes us off what it wants to go, it's going somewhere the opposite. And I've done this so many times in my career, even before I knew these sort of principles, where I remember that a big shift in my career as I went from military subcontracting to dressmaking, which is a pretty big shift if you think about it in career terms. But the opportunity came along. I remember I went for the interview for this job, And it sounded, it was bizarre, absolutely bizarre and crazy. But I got the job, and I remember thinking, well, do I take it or not? I'm an engineer. I should be playing with mills and lathes and building big metal things for rockets and guns. Or I go and change direction completely and become I'm not a dressmaker, but in the dressmaking business, working with professional dancers. Was that going to move us towards our goal of living and working in France? It did in the end. We took the job. It was fantastic. I didn't know it at the time, but the steps that we took, that I took that job, we moved house for it, fabulous people. And Peter, who was probably the last boss I ever had, he's now based in Austria, and we've reconnected. I did an interview with him we did a podcast together. He's a great guy, and we connected. But that move into dressmaking enabled us to move into other areas, enabled us to start our coaching practice, enabled us to go to Vegas, to come to here. So looking back, the dots all join up. It doesn't make sense when you look forward. Don't apply logic to this. This is where the magic does happen. Don't apply logic. Trust your instinct, because your instinct is guided by your subconscious. The subconscious is guided by the reticular activating system, and the RAS is guided by your visualization. And what the RAS does, it shows you opportunities. They're always there anyway. All these opportunities are around us, but it starts to guide you which one is the one to go for, either to avoid or to go for it, or the people to connect with. And you've got to allow it to happen. You've got to trust the natural progression. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, natural progression from into dress wearing as well. Thanks very much. We'll speak to Stefan about that. But you've got to allow it to happen. And if you kill it, if you don't go with it, i.e. trust your instinct, it doesn't work. It doesn't happen. You've got to go with your instincts. It's an emotional drive. And sometimes you're going to get it wrong. There are some decisions I'm sure that I've made or we've made as a couple and as a pair that haven't gone quite to plan. But overall, I've found that if I trust my instincts, 9 times out of 10, we land on solid ground. We end up better off. We end up moving forward to where we want to go. And it all comes down to allowing. And the one thing with allowing is that not only allowing new things to come in, you also got to allow things to leave as well. You've got to trust. What have you got to let go of as well? How are you going to move forwards? Well, let go of some things that you took to be real or true or whatever it was. You've got to let go of stuff and allow this to manifest itself in your job, in your role, in your business, in your life. And it's not precise. The danger of all this is that it's imprecise. It's not guaranteed. There's no step-by-step plan that you can follow and tick all the boxes. It's intuitive, it's visual, and you don't know you've got there until you get there, if that makes sense. And the final sort of the manifestation of this for us is we decided we wanted to have a different house. We wanted to do a refurbishment house, a renovation property. And some of you have probably seen these sort of pictures we popped up as we go along. But we found the house I think it was been February, we found the house we wanted. We literally drove past it. That looks interesting. We checked it out on the pictures on Google Earth. We did visit it. We went to have a look at it. It was a 2-minute walkthrough. Yeah, there's a garage, there's a kitchen, there's a barn, there's a garden. The garden was 2-3 meters of weeds. You couldn't see the garden anyway. Anyway, we looked at it and we thought, well, we'll think about it and maybe more this sort of thing. And then we heard nothing. And then the agent called us and said, that property is now off the market. It's gone. And we thought, well, okay, maybe, whatever. But we kept on looking at these pictures. It just looked interesting to us. And I can't explain why. It ticked all the boxes. Good location, fabulous garden under all the weeds. It had got potential. It had got a big barn. Anyway, whatever. It looked really, really cool. We kept on imagining this thing. Actually, the more we thought about it, the better it became. We thought, it's a real shame it's off the market. And halfway through lockdown, which would have been maybe early April, we had another phone call, an email through from the agent. And she said, just so you know, the property is back on the market. The other buyers couldn't raise the finance or something like that because of the lockdown. They've backed out. It's available. What do you want to do? So we sat down and looked at it and went, well, this is opportunity. What do we do? Do we wait until we can, because you couldn't go and visit it. We were on lockdown. So we said, yeah, we'll go for it. So they sent the forms through, and these are electronic signature forms. And the deal in France is if you sign these forms, they compris d'avance, when you've signed it, that's it. You're bound to it. You're done. So we signed them without seeing the house again. And the first time we saw it was about a month ago when the deal was all going through and it's all fine. But we trusted our intuition. We trusted the imagery. We trusted the goal and the vision. And well, we'll let you know. We should get the keys hopefully next week now. But that's how it shows up. You've got to trust. You've got to let go. You've got to take the risk of doing something different. And I'm not suggesting you go and just go crazy, but start off with the vision and the goal. Allow it to guide you. All it is a guide. It guides your instinct. It guides your subconscious. You'll know it when you see it, and then you'll guide towards it. Not step 1 or step 2. It may take you 20 steps to get there, but if you follow it and take the action, you will get there in principle. So that's how it shows up for me, and I see for other people as well. Just as a quick overview for you, the 4 steps are: number 1, the dream, subconscious dream. Have a dream, and then you visualize it, and it works both ways. You visualize, it sets the RAS in your subconscious, which then guides you. You then have you write your script and your plan, and you take action. You start doing things towards it, whether it's new people or systems or meetings or whatever it is. You start doing something, the opportunities then start to come. You can't do this from your back bedroom. And finally, you allow it to happen. You've got to take the risk of making it happen, the risk of getting it wrong, or the risk of going somewhere when your instinct guides you, but your logical mind says no. You follow your instinct, and that's when the real magic happens. So that's I think we're up there nearly sort of 30 minutes of sort of content there. Any questions? I'll type into the boxes. Any questions before what I'll do is go into the group breakout, stop recording. Any questions, or anybody? Is it making sense? Just put a yes up. Gareth, great. This has all just clicked into place. Fabulous. Good. Okay, I know we discussed this during the week, and I absolutely understand where you were coming from. I had the same perception, and I still do, of this law of attraction stuff. I don't get it as it's portrayed. I don't think it works for many people anyway. Bringing it to life like this is what worked for me, and I do see it work for the people. It's the same approach, but slightly different take on it. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording.